Good evening and blessings out there, everybody. What's going on? It's your man, Rod Hickman, Generational Wealth Builders, where poverty ends with us. Happy New Year, everybody. Super excited for 2026. I hope you are. I hope your 2026 has been grand. I pray that the Lord has shown you favor and so far this year. I pray that the goals that you have not given up on them already. I pray that. That is my prayer. My prayer is that wherever it is that you said that you wanted to accomplish, you have clarity on that. So again, super excited to be able to come to you tonight. Listen, y'all, just got back from our regional convention and it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. Everything was phenomenal. Pretty much from beginning to end. It was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. And I'm super proud. To be back home. I was super excited to be there, loved the environment, but I could not wait to leave so that we could get back here and really begin to share with you all the things that we have learned. So either way, want to give a shout out to the Generational Wealth Builders team out there. Again, job well done showing up. We're super proud of you, and y'all know what we got to do. We got to run it up for our Vegas trip coming up here in August. So again, super excited about that. So listen, while we were there, we had some carriers, and y'all have been hearing me talk to y'all about some of our carriers. And recently, we have now started working with carriers like Nationwide. We've recently also started working with carriers like Pacific Life. And I thought that it was very, very interesting. One of the statistics that one of the carriers showed was that most people that have life insurance policies, they do not have the living benefits portion with their life insurance policy. And y'all have been hearing me crowing on and on about the life insurance with the living benefits. And so it was very, very reassuring to hear the carriers talking about the need to have living benefits. So let's talk a little bit about what living benefits are. So living benefits with your life insurance company, the technical name is the accelerated death benefit rider, but we're not going to talk about that. The living benefits are simply a healthcare supplemental program wherein if you're diagnosed with a critical, chronic, and terminal illness or injury, the carrier is then going to give you up to 80% of your death benefit while you're still alive. You all have heard me say down through 2026, the minimum death benefit a income earner with no children should have is $500,000, period. That's the minimum that you should have. Why? Because with the living benefits, God forbid, if you're diagnosed with a critical, chronic, or terminal illness or injury, you now can get up to $400,000 to help make sure that you're taken care of. Does that make sense? It makes no sense to be underinsured, right? It makes absolutely no sense. I know a lot of people like, well, I got insurance and this, that, and other. And it's like, but you're underinsured. And that's almost like wearing high water pants, right? You shouldn't be wearing high water pants. Hey, bros, you shouldn't be wearing high water pants. That's just my opinion. I'm old school. I'm from the 70s. Okay, whatever. But the point that I'm trying to make to you is you want to make sure that the insurance is working for you, not just when you die, but you want to make sure that, God forbid, while you are alive, that is something that is still working for you, right? If you are a homeowner, if you have children, if you have grandchildren, the minimum amount that you should have should be $1 million. Why? You want to make sure the home is paid off. You want to make sure if there are any bills, those get paid off. And you also want to leave your loved one with budget. Why? Because you no longer being available, now there's no more income coming in. Right. And this is why we go through the dime model with our clients. Right. So I want to get that out there first. And I need you all to understand that part first. Now, understanding that part, why is it important for my life insurance to have living benefits? Well, what's happening is we've seen, even last year, we saw where people were just really they're getting sick. I mean, it's sad to say, but every time you turn around, you hear some, disheartening news that, old Frank, and had a heart attack, or old Jimmy then had a stroke. Oh, Patricia got breast cancer, right? And your heart goes out to people, but guess what? There's really nothing you can do. And again, out of the goodness of our heart, we start trying to collect money. We start trying to do all these things, right? That's all fine, well, and good. But guess what? That is not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough. And I'm going to prove it to you, right? Because this is not just me talking. This is not Hickman talking. There have been studies that have been done that show exactly what it is that I'm about to show you. So as you can see my screen here, I want you to see, and this is from last year, but it's talking about the growing burden of chronic diseases. Now, here's what most people think about when it comes to life insurance. Most people think, well, if I die, my family get the money, they'll move on, right? But what about if what happens to you is not fatal? What if it's not? What if it's something to the point where the person has a stroke, they still live? Now what happens? And too often, because families don't have living benefits tied to their life insurance policies, now they have to go and start liquidating everything in order to provide for care for their loved ones. And so where their living standards may have been one level, now their living conditions begin to diminish. All because they have to now figure out how we're going to take care of our loved ones. So as you can see here, it's telling you that 90% of the 4.5 trillion spent on U.S. healthcare in 2022 was for care, right, for people experiencing chronic physical and mental health disorders. Now, just look at this, right? It's saying approximately 6 in 10 Americans live with at least one chronic disease, right? That leads to significant health and economic burdens, right? People are going through, right? One of the most heartbreaking things, and it kind of hits me personally, right? Because my mom began to exhibit signs of dementia. And as she began to exhibit those signs of dementia, it was heartbreaking. And I can just remember being like, man, this is terrible. It's terrible when you've seen your parents in such a strong position, and now you see them where sometimes they don't know what's going on. It's devastating to see that. And I remember that we had to do some things to make sure that she was taken care of. We had to get her some special kind of help because the life that we live is very busy. We were doing church and ministry at the time. And so we couldn't, we didn't have the capacity to care for my mom. And so, there was some cost that was allocated to make sure she got the care, which is the right thing to do. But what I'm trying to get you all to see, folks, is that you should not have to go through it yourself in order to realize that you need to protect yourself, right? And that's basically what I'm coming here to beg you all to do. I want you all to think about it. If your life insurance policy does not have living benefits, then you really don't have a life insurance policy. You have a death policy, right? Because if it's only going to pay out when somebody dies, it does nothing to protect your life, right? So let's get into it a little bit more. Notice the chronic diseases in the United States. It's increasing with age, right? Or the chronic disease rate increase with age, right? And it doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. Don't matter what side of the track you came on. People are going through this, right? Here's the one that really, really cut real bad. It said chronic diseases make up 8 to 10 out of 10 causes of the leading death in the U.S., right? Chronic diseases, so heart disease, cancer, stroke, chronic, you see them here, right? All of these make up 8 of the 10 leading causes of death. And think about it. Heart disease is not something that just happens automatically and you just die. No, most of these, the person lives for a period of time. And God forbid if that's an income earner in your home, if they're responsible for a portion of the bills, God forbid if that's what happens. Think about it. Again, I'm not not doing fear porn here. I want you to think logically, right? If you and your husband or you and your spouse are making $50,000 each, that means you bringing in about $100,000. That means that y'all are probably living somewhere between $70,000 to $80,000 a year as your budget is concerned. Make sense? Meaning he pays this, she pays that, about $70,000. Now, watch this. With that being said, the loss of one of those income almost automatically puts you in bankruptcy. Because if your budget is about $70,000 a year and you lose $50,000, guess what? That means you're short already. You're already short. And this is what's happening to so many Americans across this nation. Their life is lifing, as they say, life be lifing. It go to lifing. And because they don't have what they need, now guess what they have to do? Now you got to start liquidating stuff. You got to take out a second mortgage on the home. You start draining your savings. You start draining your 401k. And then it gets to the point now you have to downsize your life in order to pay for healthcare. Or guess what else is happening now? People now are filing bankruptcy due to medical bills. They're filing for bankruptcy protection because of the ailment. Don't believe me? Here's what's happening. This is research. Notice what it's saying, that 66% of the bankruptcies in the United States are attributed to medical expenses. Not Hickman. Look at that. 66.5% of those that are filed are due to medical issues. So that's translated to about 530,000 families each year are filing bankruptcy because of medical bills. Lord of mercy, right? Who wants to go through that? When all you really have to do is have a life insurance policy that has living benefits on it. Because that living benefits is going to kick in and make sure that you're taken care of. Think about it. I have a colleague, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to get ready to get off. But I have a colleague who had a client, and he wrote her an $800,000 policy, right? It was a term policy. 7 months later, she's diagnosed with thyroid cancer. Now, I don't know how severe thyroid cancer is. I don't know. I'm not a medical doctor, nothing like that, right? The insurance carrier said, ma'am, sorry about what it is that you're going through. Here's a check for $256,000. Please get better. Boop, boop, boop. Are you kidding me? And oh, by the way, you don't have to pay this back. And oh, by the way, even more so, you still have the $560,000 of life insurance cover should you decide to go to the upper room. That's what our coverage does. That's what the living benefits does. It makes sure that you are protected. It makes sure that you get money to be able to do what you need to do in order to make sure that your family, again, while you're going through this tremendous issue, it makes sure that you have what you need. Now, as I get ready to get out of here, for my law enforcement folk, for my first responders, you cannot afford to not have living benefits. If you have a job where your life is on the line, where you can potentially be maimed or injured, you cannot afford to not have living benefits. You just cannot. My heart breaks every time I think about the sheriff deputy that's there in Arlington, Tennessee. If you don't know the story, there was a he was a motorcycle cop there, and he was on his way to a call, and he got hit by somebody. And when he got hit, it caused traumatic brain injury. And so now, a year and some change afterwards, they're still trying to figure out whether or not they're going to medically retire this man or not. I could go off on a whole nother tangent about that, but I'm going to be cool for the sake of time. But watch this. His family now is having to do GoFundMes. They're having to beg the mercy of people in order to take care of their stuff. For a first responder, somebody who was coming to the aid of a citizen, somebody who's coming to the aid of another officer, his family now is at the mercy of others. That bothers me to my core because it shouldn't be so. We've got to make sure that we're taking care of those that take care of us. So for all my law enforcement, for all my first responders, firefighters, EMTs, anyone that's out there putting your life on the line, you especially, you cannot afford to not have this insurance. That's just reality. Because again, God bless you for the profession that you chose, but guess what? People are going to forget about that after a while. And now your family is suffering because you can't go and do what you used to do. Noble profession, but now your family is suffering. And I know some of y'all like, but I got accidental death insurance. Yeah, but if you don't die by way of an accident, it don't pay out. You need living benefits so that if you get hurt, if God forbid, with all the foolishness that's going on now, man, y'all can't afford it. As goofy as people are now about not going to jail, going on these high-speed chases, doing any and everything, y'all cannot afford to not have it. I'm not preaching, but I am. Yeah, matter of fact, I'm preaching. Because your family, they're already praying for you to come home every night. Already. And now they have to deal with the fact that if you do come home and if you're maimed, how are they going to live? How are they going to manage? I know a lot of people, especially in Tipton County, they have, the little geese, I'll call it like that. I don't like to call out other, products and services. But again, what you got to look at, if it tops out at $100,000, it ain't doing you no good. It's not. Had I had the opportunity to talk to that deputy, I would have insisted that by him being a law enforcement officer, that he has a minimum of $2 million of life insurance on him. Why is that? Because of what he's going through now, he would have got up to $1.6 million. Yes, that's what I'm saying. If not all of it, he would have gotten access to $1.6 million. To be able for his family to at least make sure, well, let's pay off the home so we're not worried about a repossession. Let's pay off the cars so we're not worried about nobody taking our cars. Now we can make sure that we can get you the kind of care that you need in order to come back this way. While this the county figure out what they want to do about that medical retirement. So, folks, that's my time for tonight. I know y'all like, man, good God Almighty. Yes, you need the living benefits, period and point blank. If you are an income earner, you need the living benefits. If you have children, your children need to have the living benefits. Wait, why my children, Rod? Because children are having sickness and ailments just like grown folk are. Because they're eating these hot chips, these Taki chips, these ramen noodles. They are having just as many medical emergencies as old grown folk are. And come on now, let's be honest. Folks, if something happened to your baby where they have to go and stay in the hospital for a month, can you afford to take off for a month? Can you afford to? If you take off for a month from work, what's going to happen to your bills? What's going to happen? See, these are the kind of things we don't like to think about. But in my profession, I have to think about them for you. And if you will allow me, I'll be the bright spot in a dark day. Because if you say, hey, Rod, so-and-so has happened, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to reach out to the carriers, and I'm going to get that ball rolling. I'm going to get that claim started so that while you're focusing on your baby, while you're focusing on your loved one, when you see me coming, I ain't just coming with thoughts and prayers. I'm coming with some moolah to make sure that your family is taken care of while they're still alive. That's what we do here. That's what generational wealth builders do. We make sure that our clients are taken care of while they're still alive. So with that being said, I love the chance to earn your business. I love the opportunity to be able to sit down with you, look at what it looks like for you and your family to make sure that you all have life insurance with living benefits. Watch this, that cover critical, chronic, and terminal illness and injury. I can tell you, I would call them a competitor, but they're really not. But if you have a certain person's policy, I can tell you that they only have terminal illness and it's 6 months or less. Terminal illness, 6 months or less, meaning if the doctor gives you up for a year, that means now you have to wait it till they're 6 months out before they'll give you your money. And oh, by the way, it tops out at $240,000. So if you have $1 million policy, the max they're going to give you is $240,000. Whereas with our carriers, $1 million, you can get up to $800,000 and potentially all of it. That's why I say not even really a competitor. A lot of people have their products. I get it, but they're not a competitor because our products, overshadow them. But either way, that's my time. I'm trying not to be too petty in 2026, but I done kind of already fell off the wagon. But that's my time on tonight, folks. Living benefits are a must in 2026. If you're on a job, you need to have a policy to have living benefits. But I got insurance on the job. Let me tell you, if that job go away, you no longer have that policy. And if something has happened to you while you're at that job and you now become uninsurable, then guess what? Yeah, it's one of those situations. So let's not wait. Let's make haste. 2026, we ain't waiting on nothing. We're going to get down with the get down, do what we do. All right, that's my time tonight. I'm Rod Hickman, Generational Wealth Builders, where poverty ends with us. Listen, as I always tell you, remember, knowledge is not power until it is applied. You can have an 18-wheeler truck that's gassed up and ready to go, but until you apply the clutch and put it in gear, it's not going to go anywhere. Same way if you don't do anything with this information that I just shared with you on tonight. So until we meet again, look, y'all, be blessed, be safe, and we'll talk again on the next time. All right. Have a good night. God bless. Happy New Year. Bye-bye, bye-bye, and bye-bye.